All right, this is Intro to 2D CAD number 3. This one's going to be a little bit more challenging, at least on the first sketch. So honestly, if you wanted to do the first sketch last, that might be a good idea, just because this is the big kahuna, the boss of the gang here. So we're going to learn how to sketch letters today, or at least these letters for A, L, and C. So L being the easiest, C next up, and then A being the hardest. So today what I'll do, because most of you are probably wondering how to do this one, I'll do this one first. I'm going to skip the L because it's pretty simple, and then I'll do the C. So in Inventor, what I'm going to want to do is go over here, File, New, Standard Part, Create, and I'm going to do 2D Sketch right here on the XY plane. And I'm going to check out the dimensions in here, and there's a lot going on in here. So the overall size first is 3 inches from bottom to top, and everything has a thickness of 0.5, so 0.5 inches throughout here. So what I'm going to do first is kind of just get my best guess starting from this angle and going up 65 degrees, and then try and pattern everything else after that. So here we go. So I'm going to go line here, and I'm going to make this just kind of about 0.5. This is going to come up over here, and it says that the angle was 65, so I'm going to enter, and then I'm going to use my dimension tool to go here to here, make it 3 inches. Beauty. And that looks good. So I'm going to make another line that comes down the other side, and I'm going to come here, come up, boom, 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 boom. All right, right click, okay. So that's a pretty good approximation already. Just from those two dimensions, I was able to estimate more or less what it should look like. But before I add all of my dimensions, there's a few things I know are going to be parallel to each other that are going to make it very easy to dimension later if I do that first. So I'm going to use the parallel tool right here. It looks like the equal sign. The equal sign is horizontally oriented, and the parallel is diagonal. So I'm going to click here, make this parallel to that. Awesome. Notice it broke my sketch, but I can fix that in a minute. Here to here. It says it already exists, so I don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to do parallel to this one and that one, this one to that one. Awesome. And yeah, I think those are good. So then I'm going to use my, I'm just going to click and drag this, bring it over till it snaps into place there. And notice it did some weird juju right there. I can move this above or below and it will still work like that. So that's good. So I'm going to start adding in the thickness of each of these members. Right here is 0.5. Awesome. It also broke it down there again. So I'm going to fix that, but here we go to that one. 0.5, enter. This one should also be 0.5. Cool. And yeah, so that's good. I'm going to fix this one best I can. Just going to delete it, and I'm going to go from here to here to fix mine, and then add that dimension in again. 65. Nice. Okay. So notice how these are unequal. We can go back and use our collinear constraint up here. Go boom, bam. Now they're the same. I'm going to add this in again just to make it 3 inches tall. Perfect. And I'm going to just start adding in all those extra dimensions that I'm missing. So I need to make this surface to there, so the bottom to the bottom of the little overhang part, 3/4 of an inch. Let's go from here to here, 0.75, enter. I'm going to pull this out just a little bit right there. I'm going to go from here to here. This one should be 0.25, like that. Nice. And I believe I'm getting close. I also need to get the angle on this side. Be a point. Oh, not that one. Green dot of death. I want this guy. 65. Enter. And now I can test it if I grab a corner and I move this around and everything holds its shape like this. That means it's fully constrained, and that's what I want it to do. So I'm going to hit the lock key, or the lock constraint, and I'm just going to lock this down in place. Looks good. Hit finish, and extrude 1 inch. Okay. Hit the M key, and then I can measure that out and figure out the surface area of the A. Cool. So we can move on to the next one, which is going to be not the L, because that one's easy enough. I'm confident you can figure that one out. And then the C is the next one. So the C is going to be 2 circles. We're going to use construction lines, something we haven't used before, to make it even. So we're going to go File, New, Standard, Create, start 2D Sketch right here. And I'm just going to do this right in the middle, just because well, no, maybe I'll do it off to the side so you can see the hidden line better, the construction line. So it says that the outer one has a radius. So whenever it's an arc, it's a radius of 1.5, and the inner one has a radius of 1. So what that means, what we need to remember here is that if we're doing a full circle, we have to dimension it by its diameter. So the diameter will be 3 and 2 instead of 1.5 and 1 when we're drawing this out. So I'm going to say 3, enter. I'm going to start at the same point in the middle, 2, enter. Awesome. Now I'm going to make some lines. I'm going to make one right here that goes across the center, and I'm going to make sure this one is horizontal. So there's horizontal and vertical constraints right here. Like that one, and right here, that says it already exists, so great. So then I'm going to go over here to line, and I'm going to click this, and I'm actually going to pull this one right to that line, and then from here to here. Awesome. And I can do this 2 ways. I can either dimension this angle first, and then do one of the smaller ones, or I can do both of the smaller ones, and either way works just fine. I'm going to do this way, so it's 90, and then from here to here, and make it 45, enter. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into a construction line right there. So how I did that one more time, so I right click on the line and say construction. And then these lines over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim them. So we go to the trim tool, and if I hold down and drag this little line of death across anything, it'll destroy them. Boom, boom. I want to come back here, like that. I can do the same thing to the lines on the inside, like that and like that. Right click, OK. So that leaves me with this. And technically, you really don't have to get rid of all that stuff. You can choose just to extrude this part when we do the extrusion, but this is just a nice way to clean up the sketch so it looks right. And didn't want to finish that yet. Another really important part about this sketch is that notice how if I click and drag like this, it doesn't hold its shape, which is not good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the the perpendicular tool right here. I'm going to click this line and this arc, this line and this arc, and now if I grab this and try and do the wiggle test or whatever, it holds its shape. So I can hit lock right there. Everything's black, so it's good. Hit finish sketch, extrude, hit M to measure, and I can measure that surface, and I'm done. Work.